Hello guys. This is a new type of video that I want to be trying out here. I'm going to call it What's Inside, and I will be disassembling and showing what's inside of various different devices. And I figured I'd start off this series with the Xi3 X5a ultra small form factor cube PC. This is a little AMD dual core PC from around 2011, I believe. All aluminum and steel construction, very chunky, feels kind of like a house brick, and it's got all the standard kind of connector-y goodness on the back. You got a gigabit Ethernet port, sound connectors, display port, DVI dual link, your power in, it takes like a laptop power supply, 12 to 24 volt, your little power button there, which is kind of crap feeling, a dedicated keyboard port, which is just USB, I guess, with, I don't know if the BIOS recognizes the keyboard only on that port or something, but it shows a little keyboard icon there for it. A bunch of USB and a couple of eSATA ports. No USB 3, but that's kind of to be expected from the time and from the hardware that's in this, which it's like, I believe it's an Athlon dual core, 64-bit Athlon dual core, something really kind of crap processor. And it has 2 gigs of DDR2 RAM, I want to say. So it's not exactly super well equipped, but what makes it unique is just the tiny little form factor, and it runs alright. It's just not real great at running video, which is originally what I was going to use it for, so I don't really have a purpose for it anymore. We're going to go ahead and disassemble it. There are 4 little Torx screws on either side. Undo those, and then the insides just slide out. Very simple kind of construction. If you're wondering about the screwdriver, this is one of the Cobalt sets that has the little ratcheting mechanism in them. These are very nice. I think you can pick them up at Lowe's. I don't know if they still sell them or not, but that's where I got mine. Nice for undoing little screws and stuff. They come with a bunch of Torx bits and real fine Phillips, precision Phillips and flathead bits. Wish it came with tri-wing bits, but hey, that's probably a bit too much to ask. This panel just comes off like that, and you'll see the tiny little fan there, which is actually quite loud and whiny, which I'm amazed it keeps this thing cool at all. You'll see that the CPU in here is actually a full desktop CPU. Oh, and this has a 128 gigabyte SSD, which I don't think was actually an option with this particular model. It's just what I loaded it with, because I had to purchase the SSD separately. Just pushing on the back here, and we should be able to slide the entire inside out. It is quite a tight fit. Fits very snug in there. Alright, there we go. And that's the entire computer. And you can see how big this thing is. Very small. We have our RAM that's soldered directly to the back here. It looks like it might have been able to take larger modules. I really wish this had 4 gigs of RAM. It would be so much of a better device with 4 gigs. But as it sits, it's still a fairly useful little thing. We have our little heatsink, SSD, and its mSATA slot over here on the side. Everything is held together with these little card edge connectors, which is kind of a neat design. Originally these were designed to be like upgradable and user serviceable and stuff, but they never released any upgrades for them, which is really unfortunate, because they were going to be able to like release a new processor board or a new which would have the RAM, or you could have new interface board or new storage controllers and stuff that you could purchase for them. I just undid the 2 screws on the back of the DVI port, and this metal piece should just lift off, which gives us access to all the cards now. You can see the CMOS battery down in there, an internal USB port, which is kind of cool because you can boot off of that. So if you want to run an embedded operating system off of that, you can do so. I'm not really sure what you would use that for, but I'm sure people have come up with things to do with that. It would be good for like if you had if you wanted to use them as like a thin client, which is apparently what these were commonly used for. You just pull these cards out of their card edge connector. They're very, See if that'll focus on that. No. Very densely populated card edge connectors there. Very, very fine pin pitch on that. But yeah, there's really not a whole lot on this particular card. Mostly just the power supply circuitry. Go ahead and pull the other card out, which has our, well, has a lot of the components on it actually. It has our fan controller for one. Go ahead and unplug that and try not to forget to plug it back in. It has our GPU, which is an AMD chip of some sort. It's either GPU or Southbridge. I think it's the GPU. Get a better look at that. Nope, that's the Southbridge. It says Southbridge right on the silicon. There's what appears to be an infrared sensor. I have no idea why they would have that. Maybe for using with a TV setup? I really don't know. Again, you got our CMOS battery here. And that's really about it. SSD on the bottom. Everything else goes through that card edge connector over to the main board here. Which, if you can see under there, you can actually see that the chip is socketed. So theoretically, that might be upgradable. And there is just another, appears to be a RAM chip just kind of sitting there. It's a Samsung part of some kind. Some sort of RAM chip on there, and then 4 more on this side, which are all Hynix chips. So I'm not sure what that is. That might be the video RAM. But I am not going to take it apart any further than this because I do not have thermal compound to reapply the heatsink with. However, it is an AM3 socket, I believe. So theoretically, this might be able to take something like a Phenom 2 or possibly one of the quad-core Athlon chips. However, I don't think this heatsink is up to cooling those. So that's probably why they have the Athlon dual-core in here. Also, they would probably draw far too much power for this device to be able to supply. Although I do have a couple of those chips at home. I may try one sometime. I may try to upgrade it. I have actually had this all apart before, and I can tell you the chip is socketed and can be removed. It's not officially supported to do any sort of upgrading to the CPU, so I don't know. I really don't think I will be doing that, but I'm fairly sure that it'll just cook itself if I try putting any larger of a chip in there. I'm amazed that this actually manages to cool an Athlon dual core as it is, because I mean, that heatsink is tiny. It's not much better than a laptop cooler, in all honesty, but it does have fairly substantial mass to it, but it's still really, really small. And I mean, it does make quite a lot of noise with this crappy little fan. It's a really junk fan too, I'm surprised. Everything else is such high quality in here, and this fan is like rattly and nasty and yeah, just a whiny little crappy quality fan. But anyway guys, that's kind of a look inside of this thing. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this where I take stuff apart, because I enjoy doing it. It's fun for me, and if it's something that you guys want to see, just drop a comment down in that comment section or give it a like, and I will continue on making them if it's something you guys want to see. Alright, you guys have a great day. I will see you later.